Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. A big thank you to everybody who watched my last video, those who commented, those who messaged me on Instagram, giving me feedback, sharing their experiences. I truly appreciate you. Thank you so much. So this video is going to be a continuation, I guess, from that video. I just didn't want to make that one way too long. So this one is going to be about things that I didn't expect in pregnancy / motherhood. So let's get straight into it. The first thing that I did not expect was implantation pain. So around week 9 of pregnancy, of course, week 9, everything is super fragile and whatnot. So I just started getting cramps. So then when I went to the hospital, they checked me over, and even that in itself is something I didn't expect, because when I got there, the woman was like, okay, yeah, take everything from, you know, bottom half down, take it off. And I was like, and she was like, your trousers and your underwear, take it off. And I was thinking, no honey, I've seen this in the films. They put the thing on your stomach and then they look. Then why is this woman trying to get me naked? Was she freaky? I was like, what's this woman trying to do? And I was just like, so just to confirm, you want everything? And she was like, everything from your lower half, take it off. Come to find out that obviously at 9 weeks, your baby is like this big. So they can't use the, you know, I guess what would be considered the normal ultrasound machine that everyone is used to seeing in films or whatnot, where they put the gel on your stomach and they're looking around. So she had to use this like weird instrument looking thing, and she put that into my vagina, and at that point she could see my baby, and that was the first time, of course, I had seen my baby, and he was just this dot that was just like he had a heartbeat, and it was so fast, it was ridiculous. But yeah, she looked around and she was like, I'm happy, I just think that this pain is due to implantation. So basically, as your fertilized egg is attaching itself to your uterus, it can cause like a lot of pain. Some women even bleed when it happens, but it was a very strong cramp. And as someone who doesn't really, well, prior to giving birth, I didn't really have painful periods. It was a lot. Like, I thought this might be possibly the end of the pregnancy, because it was hurting a lot. Like, I was expecting to have a full-blown period like at any moment, but of course that didn't happen. So yes, implantation pains, number one, was not expecting that. Ridiculous pain. Thing that I didn't expect, number 2, if you take anything away from this video, my previous video, this channel in general, please listen to this story that I'm coming to tell and go away with it. Yeah, so at your first appointment, your first like antenatal appointment, they take loads of blood from you, they run all these different tests, they ask you about your medical history, they ask like everything about your medical history. They even asked if me and Caleb's dad were like related. That's how much like depth they get into. So a few weeks after that appointment, I got a letter. It said that through the blood test, they can see that I have sickle cell trait. So sickle cell is a blood disorder, and from what I understand of it, it is a blood disorder that can cause the person who has it a lot of pain, like a considerable amount of pain. If you have more knowledge on this or can explain it better, please do so in the comments. I might even attach something, because I feel like my definition isn't very great. Caleb's dad had asked me about this like years before, and I was like, oh no, like I'm fine. And of course, I had it 22 years and I didn't know, so it's not something that flares up, or if you have sickle cell trait, it doesn't flare up on you or anything like that. So I was like, what the hell? And so then the letter explained that I needed to go to something called genetic counselling, and I had to go with Caleb's dad, and he would have to take a blood test to see whether or not he too has sickle cell trait. Because if I have sickle cell trait and he has sickle cell trait and we have a child, our child would be at risk at having full-blown sickle cell. We went to genetic counselling, and the session was run by an older Caribbean lady who was just so endearing. Like, she was an absolute sweetheart, because I got into the room and I just started crying. Like, if you guys haven't clocked by now, crying, it's my bag, it's what I do. So I got into the room and I just started bawling, and the woman was like, it's okay, like this isn't the end of the world. But then she was explaining sickle cell and what it would mean if Caleb's dad had, you know, sickle cell trait as well. And then she explained to us I guess what the next steps were. If Caleb's dad did have sickle cell trait, we would at that point be able to discuss with you know, medical staff, and at that point, if Caleb's dad did have sickle cell trait, I could opt for a termination. And I was just like, I felt so annoyed at myself, because Caleb's dad had asked me before and I just said, oh, I'm fine. Hey guys, so I totally forgot to add that the reason why I said I'm fine was because when my mum gave birth to me, she did actually ask in the hospital, does my child have sickle cell trait? And they told her, no, she's fine. I didn't look into it any further. I was just literally, as an adult as well, I should have known better and done better, if that makes sense. And I know that no one needs to tell me, I know I'm beating myself up about it, but I should have known and done better. If I was like a teenager in like secondary school and my mum said, oh no, they said you were fine, leave it at that. But I was an adult, do you get what I mean? I had the means in which to go and actually find out, and I just never did. So that bothered me for time. Like I would have been, oh yeah, it bothered me. So we finished that appointment, and then Caleb's dad had to go and get a blood test, and about like a week later we got the results back and he didn't have sickle cell trait. So Caleb was not at risk of having full-blown sickle cell. In that week that we were waiting for the results to come back, I couldn't do nothing. I couldn't eat, I couldn't sleep. So knowing that, just because of my, oh yeah, I'm fine attitude, I could have put my child at risk of that, it bothered me. And that week it was so unsettling. When Caleb was born, I pushed for that. I was like, I need to know before we leave this hospital. I'm not gonna sit around and be told, oh yeah, he's fine. Because the thing that was scary as well was, at the genetic counselling, the lady was explaining that if you have sickle cell trait, and let's say for example, sorry, my kid's out here screaming, and for example, I have an operation, if they don't use the correct, I think it was like, if they don't use the correct levels of oxygen, my cells could sickle and I could have like an episode. And I was just like, I did not know this. Apparently people who have sickle cell trait, you're not supposed to go like deep sea diving or like scuba diving. You're not supposed to do all of them kind of things, because your oxygen level could be thrown off and you could have an episode. And I was like, and no, this is the one that even got me, the one that even mad me, that I just started bawling again. She said, people who have sickle cell trait, they have to be very careful in countries that in countries where malaria is prevalent. Like they need to always take their medication. Last time I went to Ghana, yeah, as in the time, at that time, last time I went to Ghana, asked me, did I take the malaria tablets? I was surviving off God will provide. Like I was not taking those malaria tablets. So when she was saying all of that, I was shook. Apparently there are centers that you can go to and get tested and find out. At one point I remember hearing that no, you can't just go to a hospital and get tested. But apparently it's not actually, they're not actually hospitals, they're separate centers. So if you go to a center, you can get tested and you can find out. Just do it. The third thing that I did not expect was carpal tunnel. Carpal tunnel. So carpal tunnel, so basically when you're pregnant, your body kind of holds more fluid, and some of this can collect and put pressure on your nerves. So that's what was happening, and it was very, very painful. And alongside carpal tunnel, I had, I guess for the similar reason, I had sciatica. So that was putting pressure on my sciatic nerve, and I literally for 8 weeks straight, I had a shooting pain from my top of my neck into my left bum cheek and like down the middle of my leg. Couldn't put pressure on it, couldn't do nothing. It was just weird. But carpal tunnel, sciatica was mad. But like I said in my previous video, I've had a bad back since like 13, so the pain was obviously painful, but it's nothing that I'm not used to. Carpal tunnel, on the other hand, carpal tunnel, I used to get it in my hand. And the pain, when I try and explain carpal tunnel to people, I think of Mr. Vegas, Broke It Down. You see, Broke It Down, it starts with the chorus of the song is like, broke it down. So at that point, that's where I would be doing something, I'd be picking things up. When the pain would come, that would be the meat of the chorus. So when the pain would come, it would go boom, broke it down, broke it down, broke it down, broke it down, broke it, and my hand would vibrate, and then the pain would go, and that would be it. Like, pregnancy is an absolute joke thing. Like, it was the craziest thing. Like, my thumb would literally say, and they will, like, so that was crazy, because what the hell, like, I used to work at a Caribbean restaurant as well, so I've got the ladle, I've got the rice and peas, and my hand just locks and I've got all rice and peas all over the fucking counter. Like, it was crazy. The next thing that I didn't expect in pregnancy, after I gave birth to Caleb and he was out, loads of people started rushing in the room, and I was kind of like, oh hey. What had happened was, on the way out, my placenta split and I started losing quite a bit of blood. And I'd never heard that, so I'd never heard of that, so of course I wasn't expecting it to happen to me. I was just very chillaxed. I was just like, oh my gosh, my baby's out. Like, oh, meanwhile there was so many people, everyone like rushing around. I didn't realize like how much blood I had lost until I saw the nurse like packing up sheets and stuff like that. But I was losing quite a bit of blood, and this is why, like, whenever someone asks like, oh, do you think you'll ever get surgery, I always say, like, I always joke around, like, I always make jokes about me getting a BBL or something, but I know that my body has the potential to do a mad thing, so surgery is not for me, because I was really bleeding out. And this is why, going back, if you haven't watched my first video, please do go and watch it. Going back to that video, that is why I say that woman saved my life, the midwife who came along and helped me deliver my baby. Because if I started bleeding out and I was just left with that wicked midwife, like, come on, like, just absolute madness. So yeah, my placenta split, never heard of that, never expected it. Another thing that I didn't expect, and I know it sounds kind of stupid because it's like, okay, you were giving birth, duh. But the thing that I didn't expect was just the amount of hands that go into your vagina. Oh my gosh. I just didn't expect it. Some entrances were very rough, like very rough, and that is what had me on gas and air that I didn't even want to use. I needed to numb the pain because there was just way too many hands and elbows and shit in my vagina. Like, I just did not like it at all. So maybe like a few weeks after I gave birth, I went to go and get my hair done, and I kept that hairstyle in for maybe like a month and a few weeks, and then I took it out. So then as I was washing my hair, I was like, yo, like, this is a lot of hair to be falling out. Okay, bit mad. I blow dried the hair, and then that's when I started crying, because I was like, yo, like, I felt so, of course, naturally I've given birth, I feel frumpy. The time that I used to do, yeah, makeup and all, let me secure my wig and let me do track by track straightening of my wig, I don't have that time anymore. I have a small baby, and then now I'm about to be a bald bitch. Not out of choice, because see me, I love to cut my hair. Any small inconvenience, well, it's time for a relaxing cut. The next day or something, I was like, you know what, let me actually face my fear and take a picture of what I look like. And I took these pictures, and oh mate, that's when it just really dawned on me that I have no hairline. Like, my hairline was pushed back, like push back. So if you see me in Tesco, you see me in Lidl, you see me in the shopping centre, and my hairline starts back here, mind your business. I have no edges, and that's okay. It's okay. The maddest thing is, I posted this picture recently, and a couple people came in my DMs and were like, look at mine, and I was just like, be some bold mamas, and it's okay. It's normal. The next thing that I guess I didn't expect in motherhood, but I kind of expected at the same time, was postpartum depression. It was nothing to do with the baby himself. It was me, and I think I might have mentioned this in my my previous video. I didn't feel like I was where I was meant to be in life. I'd gone to uni, I got a law degree, I was working in a restaurant, and now I had a baby. So I just had this like, no one, and the thing is, the maddest thing is, no one was putting this on me. Like, I wasn't living in a house with parents who were like, oh, you know, and this person's daughter's a lawyer, and that person's, oh, well, look, what are you doing? You're at home with your baby. My parents are not like that. Like, no one's ever put this pressure on me. Like, I've collected it and put it on myself. I was just being super tough on myself. All my family told me, all my friends have told me, but I couldn't see it, that I was just being so hard on myself. And lack of sleep as well. Caleb was a big baby and he liked his food. He was like up every other hour, so sometimes it was just difficult. It was just literally lack of sleep, and I really wanted to breastfeed, but there'll be times where like my mom or my aunt will say, oh, let me watch him so you can go and sleep, and then when I wake up they've given him like 2 formula bottles. So then it was like I would force myself to try and stay awake so I could try and breastfeed, and it just left me drained. I wanted to be super mom in everything and I just couldn't do it. And it just left me feeling inadequate. It made me feel like an awful mom, and none of that stuff was true. I was an amazing mom. I am an amazing mom, but I was being so tough on myself, and that just all bundled up into a cheeky bit of postpartum depression. And you know what, I think what made the, let's say, the depression worse was after Caleb was born, he got quite ill. He went to the hospital and we were in hospital for like 3 days. My baby had full-blown jaundice. Then he came home and we were at home for a bit, and then he went into hospital again. He had an infection, and all of this stuff just started making me feel inadequate. I felt like an awful mom. Why is my child ill? Like, and it's annoying because I beat myself up about it so bad, and it's only recently that I'm like, yo, I don't I don't sell jaundice. Like, I don't. I'm not in control of jaundice, nor do I control or sell or own infections. Like, I don't. So there was nothing that I could have done to avoid that. But at the time, you couldn't tell me nothing. It was me that gave Caleb jaundice. It was me that gave Caleb an infection, and it made me just depressed out my face because I felt like, yo, you're such a shit mom, and it just made me depressed. Even now, as a toddler, apparently there's something called toddler blues. It's essentially when you just find parenting difficult, then your child is a toddler. He's just such an energetic child, and as a 9-to-5er, as woman of the house, I'm tired. Like, I don't have the same energy as him. So even now I do beat myself up, but not near as badly as I did before. But it's difficult. Parenting is hard. It is very hard, and it's, I think, another thing that used to, like, well, not used to, it still does make me feel a bit like, yo, like, this is a bit sad. I have so much support. Do you know how many people I could call right now and say, I don't want to parent right now, look after my baby, and they will pick up my baby. Some of them will even come to me and pick up the baby, not even drop him off. They will come to me and pick up my child. So postpartum depression, I didn't expect for it to hit me that hard. Sorry to end the video on such a serious note, but yeah, guys, so that's all the things I can think of right now. If there's any parents watching, please do share things that you didn't expect, or if you've got a similar experience, please let me know in the comments, Insta DMs, whatever you feel comfortable doing. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Stay cool and stay blessed. Peace.